Good evening. Welcome to the September 6th Clark County Fire District 6 Board of Fire Commissioners meeting. I'd like to call this evening's meeting to order and ask that you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This time I'd ask for any additions to the agenda.
None here.
We'll need to read and approve our minutes from August 17th and 23rd. Post those as necessary.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Correspondence, I didn't see it in the packet, but I do see it listed here.
So there's one item of correspondence. It's a letter from Captain Eric Semica to myself, and if the board would allow me, I'd like to read it out loud to you.
You bet.
So, Chief Maurer, I would like to formally recognize a few of our support service volunteers for their efforts during this year's Clark County Fair. In particular, I would like to recognize Tyler Raymond, Nicole McElrath, Tiffany Mercer, and Michael Sakachi. These 4 individuals spent many hours and days staffing the fire district's first aid room and providing essential care to the citizens who sought out our services at Station 6-4. In addition, they spent many hours interacting with fairgoers, handing out stickers, providing tours of the equipment and apparatus, and answering questions about the fire district. This year's fair was very busy. Many of the days were hot and the days were long. Regardless, these individuals continued to show up and provide great service as representatives of the fire district. I would ask that you please take a moment and forward along my recognition to them. I sincerely hope they continue to serve in their current capacity. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, Eric Semica, EMS Training Captain.
Great.
Very nice.
Very nice, yeah. Thank you to all who participated this year.
Yeah.
Very nice. Citizen communication. Citizens wishing to communicate with the board this evening, you can do so using the YouTube chat feature. That will be monitored throughout this evening's meeting, and those questions will be addressed by the board. Thank you. Committee reports. I don't see any listed this evening. Okay. Consent agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Moving on to the chief's report.
So the first in the Chief's report is the personnel action report. We have Eric Semica, who just completed 25 years of service with the district. Dave Fisher, 22 years of service. Travis Dick, 16 years. Tracy Wood, 16 years. Ethan Altman, 16 years. David Schmidt, 3 years. Brad Osborne, 1 year. And then we currently have Elijah Page on light duty and Josh Matter on military leave.
Thank you. Facilities update.
So essentially, the Station 1661 remodel, the permits are still in process, and we have to have those in place before we go to bid. So they have initial bid documents that have been sent off to legal, and they're in the process of putting those together. Station 62, Andre completed a workbench and cabinet for the SCBA move. That's going to happen out to 62, and a shoe cubby for the clean in, clean out. And then Station 63, the permit should be released by the county in the next few weeks. They're going to anticipate delivery of the storage building on September 22nd. And we have the bid documents complete with legal's approval that are also in your board packet. And then acoustical enhancements, we're working with McKinsey, and they're starting to design that acoustical enhancement at 63 to help with some of the noise issues there.
Great. Thank you.
What are they gonna do design-wise, acoustically, design-wise out there to get rid of the noise? For $22,000, this is, you know, I know Sean's not here, but.
Yeah, so a lot of it is re-insulating the walls and putting stops in the walls. So right now the walls run straight up and down, and in a wood structure that doesn't allow for a lot of buffering of sound. So they're gonna add insulation and stops in certain parts. But,
So they'll pull the sheet rock and.
yeah.
Will,
And it's more than Andre could do. So.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. that's all I see for the chief's report. Old business, board handbook.
So I made each of the board members a handbook that includes policies that are pertinent to you, the RCWs of the state of Washington, collective bargaining agreements, and other legal opinions and advice.
Can you put the actual district?
The board policy is in there, the District 6 board policy. Is that what you mean? Policy 201.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, this will be a great read.
Moving on to new business.
So in new business, sorry, the first thing on there is a legal representative change. I wanted to notify the board that currently our legal attorney that we use is switching from Summit Law Group to Safarth Law Group. The district would like to continue with Mr. Swedlow and follow him to his new practice. Many of the fire districts that he represents are doing that with him. There is an hourly rate change that is in your packet. And then you can see that there's also an option to do an annual fee. One of the things with Mr. Swedlow is he completely understands the history of the district and why we are where we got. So when I pulled 2017 numbers and 2018 numbers, which was when we first brought Swedlow on, the costs were significantly more. In 2017, we paid him a little over $15,000, and in 2018, we paid him over $46,000. So you can see how that history in getting a new legal counsel up to speed does cost the district. We would be very judicious in using Mr. Swedlow, and now we're to the point where he knows our history, he knows our policies, he knows our CBAs, that our conversations with him are quick and we can get back to him right away. So that would be a change in contract, but I would strongly suggest that if the board was willing, we stay with Mr. Swedlow.
Well, not only does he have a history of the district, he has really good knowledge of fire districts and how they operate in the state of Washington.
Yes.
He represents, I would guess, the vast majority of larger fire districts, so he's up to speed on changes in the law and negotiations and contracts and all that kind of stuff. And I would hate to switch. I know it's more money, but I know if you're gonna find anybody that's good, cheaper,
Yeah.
you know, that's the problem. It's really competitive out there.
Well,
right
he
now.
hadn't raised his rates with Summit since we began with them in 2016, so.
Pretty good, and now is this the firm that, I mean, so he went from $350 an hour to $600 an hour? Is that
Correct.
the new firm?
That's the new firm's billing hours.
Okay.
Yes.
I picked the wrong line of work.
Is he in Clark County or where is he?
He is in the Seattle area,
Okay.
but he does, like Commissioner said, he does fire districts all across the state,
Okay, right.
so.
Okay.
Kind of his thing.
Yeah.
So that would require a motion of the board, is that? What-
It does not require a motion of the board, but the board has asked in the past that if I were to enter into contracts, that I would run that by you first.
Right.
Okay.
If we have a bad experience where
Right.
he's billing us for things that, he's really been fair in his billing,
Okay.
you know, and, you know, quick phone calls, sometimes he does being billed for.
Okay.
So I'm comfortable going forward with it. You know, if we're gonna get into negotiations and depending on how that looks, it might be cheaper to do a retainer, but, even in that, I think we're still okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Sounds
I'll
good.
move forward.
Thank you. EMS levy renewal?
So when we presented the EMS levy to the county elections office, we had a backup plan that if the levy were not to pass the first time around, that we had a resubmittal for that levy to go for the November election. When we drafted that plan and presented it to the board gave permission for the chief to go ahead and release that resolution so that we could pull that from the elections office. So I just wanted to notify the board that I'm gonna follow through with that and
Yeah.
release that to the elections office.
Thank you. Clark County Fair report.
So the district contracted with Clark County Fair this year. We contracted for dollar of service. So any overtime the district paid out for fair coverage was billed to the fairgrounds according to our new contract. That's different than we've done in the past. They've paid a certain amount for volunteer service. So this year total, we billed the fair $33,326.32. They haven't paid it yet, but I'm sure they will pay it. Also in that breakdown is the hourly rate, the overtime rate, and the total hours and shifts worked by personnel.
So do our volunteers receive any,
They receive no stipends
no
anymore.
stipends at all?
Just a
From the fair or
uniform.
from us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anything else related to the fair report? That's good. Okay.
So that will, when that is reimbursed, that will go into the general fund, so you won't see a reduction in overtime in August, but it goes back into the general fund.
Okay.
So we could surmise that we could subtract $33,000 from August overtime,
Okay.
yes.
Insurance claim?
So we had an accident at Station 63 where the engine went through the bay door while the bay door was coming down. With that accident, the estimate for the door is $3,804.84. We carry a $1,000 deductible on structure damage, so that means the coverage of that accident will be $2,804.84. I also wanted to notify the board, though, that there was damage to the apparatus, and Brad Osborne was able to fix that on his own, get the apparatus back in service, and do it below our deductible for apparatus, which is $250.
Wow.
Good.
Very nice.
Is the door, was it repairable or do you have to get a new panel?
It needs a new door.
2 new panels.
2 new panels, okay. Let me know how long that takes.
They gave us an 18-week timeline.
Yeah, that's better. We've had one
So
on
about
for
4
almost a
months.
year.
So we have plywood over now or what?
No, it's actually just bulged. If you drive by the front of the station, and you really look for it, it's on the third bay over. You can notice it, but it's pretty minimal. We talked about potentially moving those panels to a door that gets used less often, but we're able to operate very functionally as is, so it'd be about $1,000 to move those panels around, so we're able to just work around it
Nice.
for the next 2 months.
Okay. All right. Station 6-3 building bid.
So, like I reported in the facilities report, Chief Newberry and Brian Snur have been working together on those bid documents. You have the completed documents in your packet. In the past, the board has granted us the leeway to work with legal, get those documents drafted, and then go out for bid. And I just wanted to make sure if we get permits, if the board was comfortable with us going out for bid.
How big is this building? I feel like it's infamous already.
County is, how long, county's had it for what, 6 months?
Well, they get, yeah,
Yeah, I think it
it's
was
about 3
December,
months, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and the square footage, I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
It's like
actually, to know.
25 by 25, it's not
Okay.
huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
It'll be too small by the time we get it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're hoping to do that off the small works roster.
Yes,
Yeah.
anything under $350,000 we can do on the small works roster.
Is there people on the small work roster that does this? And will there be?
Yeah, and actually getting on the small works roster is not a complicated process. So before we would allow them to bid, they would have to be on that.
Okay. Truck spec and implementation information.
So I'm going to have Chief Russell discuss what kind of truck we are speccing and why. But just to let the board know, the initial cost estimate from Pierce came in at $1.8 million. We projected 1.45, so our projections are a little off. We'll have to work within the budget to get to that 1.8. I'm not asking the board for any purchases tonight, but we just wanted to give you a history of the process and what we anticipate how we're going to roll out this truck process. So I'll let Chief Russell start.
I think Chief Maurer put in kind of the analysis we did, I think, over a year ago now, probably, or close to it, but, and I apologize, that wasn't written for the board, that was just written as a inter-office email to the fire chief, not to you guys, but I probably would have brushed it up a little bit. But we established a truck spec committee, went through the process of just kind of analyzing all different types of aerial operation devices. And in that, we talked to our local partners, City of Vancouver, who gives us a truck on every fire currently, talked to Clark County Fire Rescue, looked at the county as a whole as far as any sort of needs that we could provide that don't currently get provided for currently. and then just look at our area. I talked to truck representatives from Pierce Manufacturing, talked to other truck experts with Walton Valley Fire and Rescue, Portland Fire and Rescue, and really just tried to get what's that?
Oh, Clackamas.
Clackamas, yeah. Tried to get a really good, well-rounded analysis of our area and what would suit us best. In that, what we kind of really came to find out is kind of the fire marshal's office, not to throw them under the bus, but it's been a challenge, I think, in the probably past 25 years of getting the adequate space needed to get into and around many of our buildings and apartment complexes in our area. So access really became kind of priority number one in looking at these different apparatus types. There was a lot of push for the potential for a platform, and we looked at that because there wasn't one in the county at the time, and there still isn't currently. However, Vancouver is looking to buy one as their next truck, their third truck they're going to put into service. So there's a lot of pressure from Vancouver saying, you guys should buy a platform, you guys should buy a platform. Well, we looked at that, and access was just going to be our real issue for us, and getting into our fires so it would be accessible and usable to us in most of the areas that we have fires was going to be a big issue. With that, the folks I talked to at Pierce and the other kind of truck experts that we spoke with reconfirmed that access is becoming more and more of an issue in every city across America. That really kind of poked us towards the TDA route, just because access is, top notch as far as that equipment goes. So that's what my recommendation was to the fire chief, and she gave us kind of the green light to go ahead and pursue that. So we, using the truck spec committee, kind of did some field trips, went down to TVFNR, looked at the truck there, looked at Clackamas's truck, Portland's truck, looked at the trucks at Vancouver, and just kind of took the best of everything that we liked. We also used a consultant, Steve Carruthers out of Seattle. I think you guys are probably familiar with him, to kind of point us in the right directions as far as spec and layout and that sort of thing. And the intent is to also have him back to help us with driver training, tiller operator training, that sort of thing. So over the past, I'd say 12 months or so, we've been building this spec with our group that's represented from firefighter up through the ranks to battalion chief, and have put together the spec using primarily, I think it was basically, it's the same truck spec base from TVFNR, Portland, and Clackamas all kind of run the same Pierce TDA. So we used those, took input from Steve Carruthers to make some other things that just make operation a little bit easier, since we're just getting into this truck kind of field. And so that's kind of landed where we landed. I think in my analysis there, I even have like some estimates of price from Pierce at like 1.4. So coming in at 1.8 was a bit of a sticker shock for all of us. That said, I've spoke to Commissioner Losbeck, some other folks, I've checked in with other departments regionally. Bend just ordered a Velocity similar to what we have in our bay here that I think we got for $650. They just got a bid for $950.
It appears at a 16% increase.
Yeah, and they've got another one coming at the end of October, about at 10%, I think.
Wow.
10.9. So obviously it's tremendously expensive. We did consider, going into the used market. However, just everything we read here about the longevity of used apparatus, especially in a TDA, can just be riddled with difficulty maintenance-wise. We looked at straight frame sticks as well, in the used market, but again, typically if departments are getting rid of those used apparatus, they come with a hefty list of issues. However, you can get lucky at times. That said, I think we still bump up against the access issues and what's kind of pushing us towards the TDA market to begin with. And finding a used TDA is very difficult. That doesn't come with a bucket list of issues. So anyway, that's kind of where we've landed. That's kind of some of the background in a quick nutshell what we've done, and I'm happy to answer any questions about the process if you have.
Can I lay out the training process one first? So when we looked at this truck, first of all, I want to tell you this truck is not fancy. This is a truck used for firefighting. There's not bells and whistles on it. It's just, that's the price for a truck that'll do the job. When we built the strategic plan, we met with industry experts, and part of that strategic plan was getting this truck in service. We plan to put the truck in service in 2024, and this puts us on that timeline. Couple things we need to happen in order to be proficient at truck operations is District 6 hasn't ever had a staff truck. We've had a truck in the past, but never a staff truck. So part of that delay in why we don't want to go into the used market before we go into the new truck market is we have built all into there the training for this apparatus. So first set of training we need to do is get our members up to speed on truck operations, and then we bring in the TDA, driver operator operations. That takes time. It takes a year at least, and that's pushing fast. So we don't want to bring anything into service not prepared. And so some of that is all built into the strategic plan, and that's why the 2024 timeline. It's also, we had to bring on 4 new positions and to be able to staff this truck. And so those positions have been hired, and we have to give them time to get up to speed too, so that we don't have a whole new cadre of 3 years and less employees working at TDA. So that's how some of that timeline all got built in together.
Nice. No pump, right?
No pump, no pipe. We'll have just a remote nozzle that can clip on, and that's the spec as current stats. So yeah, it's about as
Yeah.
bare bones a truck as you can.
What color wheels? Remember, I know Brad was.
They'll be black. If Bob has anything to say. I'm just curious why Vancouver's going for a bucket at this point. They've
I'm
always
sorry,
had-
say again?
Vancouver's going for a bucket. They've always had the tiller drawn, and
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they would.
I think again, they're seeing the need, there's certain things you can do with a platform that you can't do with a straight stick, higher flows, water, more stable, safe working platform, and just more rescue type applications that are a little safer. And so since they have 2 TDAs in service, their third one, I think, is they're just trying to round out and have a good, well-rounded truck platform for the city. So that'll also help the county a lot. And I think because they have the 2 TDAs, they're not gonna have, the access issues. When they do have access issues, they'll get a TDA in there, and when they have a special rescue or high flow water need, something like that, they get their platform in and utilize it. So I think it makes sense for them, and I'm glad they're doing it, because then we don't have to get one. 'Cause those
Yeah,
are really
TDA
expensive as
makes
well.
sense for us.
And I told Commissioner Piper this, but the maneuverability issue, I was in Seaside last fall. They have a brand new one. And I was out on the balcony where we were staying, and they brought it up Broadway, where the turnaround is there at the end, and they just turned right back. It's like,
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
it was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So we're not asking the board for anything tonight. We will draft a purchasing plan from this and bring it back to you at a meeting in the future, but
Chief,
just wanted to give you a heads up.
What kind of timeline do you anticipate as far as moving forward with ordering, with the 2024 timeline? It takes a year to build, I'm sure.
Well,
So
the
you
cost
want-
is gonna go up in October,
Mhm.
So maybe
Sometime
next
before
meeting.
October? All right, all right. Fair
But we
enough.
will have a purchasing plan.
Okay.
Okay, that was my question, because we're 400,000 short. And then there'll be another 100,000 to equip it, and radios and all that stuff, so we're $500,000 short. And I'm conservative, so I wanna make sure that we have the money to pay for it, and we still have money in reserve.
So when we wrote the bond for the Station 61 remodel, we specifically put in that bond for any capital assets, including a truck. So we can use that bond money early and then pay back into that, so that we're not taking an extra 400,000 out of the main budget, if that makes sense.
Does the 1.8 include any equipment on the
No.
truck, or
That's just your
us?
TDA.
Okay. What cab are we getting?
It's an enforcer.
Okay. And is that, the clearance in the rear seats are good?
Yep, it's a raised cab,
Okay.
so it's the exact same cab as our new engines,
Oh,
so it should be very familiar for all our folks.
That's nice for ordering appropriate, people can fit.
So do we
You
save
said
money,
a-
by paying when we order? Do they want money up front, or can we wait, or?
We do save money by paying in advance. I think it's about 15%. It's a good chunk of change. But there are leasing options. There are you know, you can purchase some upfront, some on the back end. So we'll give you all those options that we can
50%
look
is
at.
a pretty good discount.
Yeah,
isn't
no,
it?
right.
Okay.
Buy the tractor first.
I'm sorry, it's not, it was 15% because we bought 2 engines, so it's
Oh,
not
it'll probably be
15%.
5.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and I think with the prepaid discounts, it's 1.8, it's 1.96 without. And I think 143,000 of that is Washington State sales tax.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's
So we're delivering it to cheap
Yeah.
prices.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's on it.
I'd feel
I'm
safer if
kidding.
it went to Brad's house.
Very good. Thank you for giving us the heads up on that and running through that ahead of time. I appreciate that.
All right.
There was one more item of new business, I'm sorry. The open house, we will be under construction here next June when we traditionally have our open houses. So I just wanted to confirm with the board, would you rather have the open house at 63 next year or cancel the open house? And we'll make either one work.
When do we typically do it?
It's the first Saturday in June.
You know, we've been doing the open house here since '92. And if you switch it back, I don't know how confused people will be. I guess I don't know.
Can we mull it over?
What does staff want to do?
Yeah, do you want us to skip it?
Yeah.
We can do either way, but PIO Schmidtke does announce the open house with his October fire prevention presentation, so if we could know by October.
Parking would be better there. You don't have to cross Hazel Ave, you always worry about it. So you can cross.
We'll think about it for next meeting and we'll bring it back.
We talk schedule, is that in this
Yes.
part? All right. Meeting schedule. September 20th, would September 21st work for everyone to have a meeting?
I can make that work.
Okay.
Yeah.
September 21st, and then the next one that I see is conflicting is October 18th. Would it be possible to move that to the 19th?
Give me that date again.
October 19th.
October 19th.
Yeah.
Right, moving the 18th to the 19th.
Yeah,
I could make that work.
perfect. Other than that, I think all the other dates work that I saw.
I hadn't looked that far.
We have conference in October, is it?
It's the 27th. through the
4th or,
29th.
yeah, right in there.
Yeah.
All right. All right, that's the list I see for new business. Any other new business? Okay. Executive session, I saw no need for executive session here this evening. Roundtable good in order?
I guess I'll just say, you already touched on the fair. I was out at the fair, because I'm involved in the management group out there. And I think I was out there 5 days, maybe 6. And the station was always clean, the apparatus was clean, the guys looked sharp. They paid a lot of attention to people walking by, they were putting people out into vehicles, along with their EMS duties.
Right.
But every time, I think Eric was there every time I went by. And then they also did the vulnerable kids, what do we call that?
The memory makers.
Memory makers, where there's kids that have to have medical personnel with them. And
Yeah.
they made arrangements with the fair, and Butler gave them free rides, and we got free admission and all that stuff. And I think they did that a couple days, didn't they?
So that's actually.
3 days, right?
Captain Greeley actually does that, and it's a product of Local 452, so it's the union firefighters donate their time and take kids with special needs.
Used to be
to the fair.
18, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, I saw them out there one day with some of the kids, and it's all PR, and it's all good for the public, and it's all good for the community, and everybody looked sharp, everybody did a good job, I was proud of them.
Yeah, I appreciated the report here about the contacts. That was interesting, that was tracked so well.
It's really, really busy, and I think those casual contacts are way underreported.
Yeah.
I mean, just the handful of hours I was out there over the week, I mean, it was just nonstop. People coming in for a blood pressure check, or coming in for a Band-Aid, or have somebody take a look at something. Yeah, and our folks really did just a great job, and also with that group of volunteers that helped every day. It was much needed, so it was great.
Very good.
Perfect. Anything else?
All good here.
Okay. With that, we'll need to authorize payment of current bills, pre-authorization, transmittal, and authorize monthly commissioner compensation.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.